Okay, first of all, I'm really thankful to have the opportunity to participate in this relevant international conference, and thanks to you for to be listening. So I will introduce myself. I'm Otniel Altamirano. I'm a professor from the Benito Juarez Autonomous University of Oaxaca in Mexico, and I belong to national system of researchers, also in Mexico. So what I present to you is a project that we are developing. So I want to show you part of the process that we were working together. And when I say together, it means like working with students and other partners. The project is about an immersive teaching material or architectural memory in Mexico, to be accurate or specific, in Oaxaca City. So this project, we pretend to develop it under a deductive and a practical methodology. A hybrid memory game will be designed to visual teach architectural heritage using immersive augmented reality. So, I understand more about how we create this memory game. But the general objectives that we established was to diversify the educational strategies, and second one, to enhance digital skills and cognitive abilities among different kind of users. So let's move about where I take this, the first ideas. During the time when I was studying Mexico City, I was not born in Mexico City, but in Mexico City is the capital for Mexico. So, wow, it was a massive city for, it's a challenge to move beyond and along the city, mainly when you are not from Mexico City. So the main challenge was taking the subway and the lines and all the complex that it's about. So I discovered that each station subway has graphic design that represent a building or an activity that is outside or around that area. So if you see a basket with orange, it means like there is a marketplace that is outside, or national or heritage building, or any, you understand what I mean. So it was an image representation that during the time it was in the subway. If you fall asleep and you couldn't read in a quickly time which station is, so the pictogram of this image, you could in fact understand which station was. So that idea was creating like, well, and I was looking for more similar projects about subway lines. So Mexico is, I can say that is the only one that has the graphic representation of each station. And I guess it's very useful for people that doesn't speak Spanish or doesn't read or have a disabled vision, right? So we create that idea. Based on that idea, well, in Oaxaca City, it's on a small city, it's on a small town. We don't have a subway service, of course, but we have relevant heritage buildings and different activities, mostly cultural. So we start thinking about to create or develop this memory game. So based on gamification, games based on interaction, simulation, and rewards between the user and the product allow greater adherence to learning, calling it content or soft. So that was the idea, mainly to create an interaction based on the content. So the background of this project is the use of immersive technologies in learning activities would allow the visualization of products that include hybrid, and I understand more later what I mean when I say hybrid, interactive and intuitive content. So the justification for this is the professor needs teaching material provided by the educational system. So I've been teaching in the architectural faculty. So I discovered that we don't have enough materials that could support some activities when we pretend to extend or create an interaction with it or in our class. So that was an opportunity to create and provide something new and to give them to faculty. So this preliminary project proposed a model for other educational centers, not only for the institution where I've been teaching. So to produce new versions of heritage and architectural sites of their localities. So it means like it could be a model that could be reproduced in other institutions and other cities and other states, even in other countries. So what in Oaxaca city? So where is Oaxaca? Oaxaca is in the south part of Mexico. So in that area, well, there is a geographically geopolitical activity. Our neighbor, the north, it's the US, right? So it's our main commercial partner in the trade. So the economy, the educational, the development, the infrastructure is more, well, you could clearly see that from the middle, that is in the capital, obviously, to the north. And on the other hand, the south is not so developed at all. So that's the reason, because we have more, we don't have industry or economy, we have culture, we have astronomy, we have touristic activities, right? The specific objectives for the project is to digitize teaching material, complement the information about the building heritage, and stimulate and measure cognitive and digital skills of the users. So this is a representation how we pretend to develop this game. So I don't know if some of you have played before this game. That consists, the instruction is mix the cards, right? Place face down, pick up 2 cards and look for a match, right? And return the cards if they don't match. If it match, well, keep playing and reveal the cards in the sequence turn. It's not so complicated. But in addition, we pretend to include another rules, like to complement the learning of the user. We pretend like to mention the name of the building, to create it, not only the visual. We are pretending going to the verbal teaching. It means like teaching ourselves, right? And learning. Meanwhile, other participants are looking for the match of the cards. So this activity, there's first exercise, I personally created with a group of students at the architectural faculty. So what we did first to choose 15 buildings in Oaxaca state. Okay? But it was, each of them should have some relevant or significant elements, statics or historical reference or materials, right? Second one, create graphic abstraction like pictograms. So that's where I took the reference of the subway station that I told you before. convert the graphics into vector image 2D and patterns for augmented reality. Evaluate the prototype in both versions. So we pretend to create the two versions, a printed version and a augmented reality version, right? And finally, implement the prototype in two students groups, one with disabilities and one without, at the Multiple Care Center 52 in Oaxaca City. So why we can't or pretend to measure these versions with specifically students with disabilities? So we pretend to create an inclusive, or pretend to be closer to an inclusive product. So talking about the hybrid, the project is looking forward to have the graphic pictograms in a sample page, basically black and white, just that. So meanwhile, when you don't have Wi-Fi or internet connections, well, you download, print it in any kind of printer, and you by yourself got it, and play your cards anywhere, anytime, anywhere. Meanwhile, the augmented reality version, well, it will be another insights, like information about the building, historical information, and complemented with audio information for users that maybe don't have the, the visual, or have a visual disability, right? So, but we pretend to cover more of different physical and cognitive users. So, to conclude, this board game is designed for students at different educational levels. So, and it's inclusive of various age range, digital skills, and emotional intelligence of users. The set, obviously, can be improved based on practical measurements and the user feedback to achieve optimal quality in design, structure, usability, and visualization. Thank you for your time.
Otniel,
That's so fast.
do you have any questions?
Oh, was it all right? Any questions?
Yes, indeed. Maureen.
When you're walking around the city and you can't find your way and so on, as you were talking about when you were a new person to Mexico City, the scale of the building in relation to your own experience is very different when you look on a little card where there's a picture. Mm-hmm. So I wondered, did you have to have any, are you going to have some, alongside this game, some real sort of tours that take people around the real thing so that they can understand the scale, the relation of the human to the monument?
Oh, wow. Well, that could be another extension that we could create in the virtual service. I mean, basically it's to play it and to learn about the building and to know about to learn more about your context. And that kind of information that you are asking will be part of elements that we could incorporate even more, going more in a map to create a circuit. Maybe if you pretend to visit those buildings or any of them, or create a circuit or sections, and to provide more information about the.
Because also buildings are used for religious purposes, for municipality, for vernacular architecture, for the every person.
Yes, that's right.
There's a different relationship we have to buildings, and that could be somehow embedded in what you're.
Some of these buildings are used for multiple purposes.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You could also give students like, well, here's 6 cards in the city, go figure out a path for it, go figure out and put something together that makes sense in relation to those sites.
Yeah, that's right. Like, it will be like a transmedia activity, like to look for another interpretations or another ways to play it or to connect with this product. That it will be not only a product. We look for like to provide a service. So, yep.
More of a comment really, but in the development of this work, did you encounter any of the massively multiplayer games developed by Eric Zimmerman? He, for a number of game design conferences, he and his team would develop, instead of a massively multiplayer online game, they would develop a massively multiplayer in-person game. And he, I believe, implemented one of those games in the city of Minneapolis, so that people were, as they were traversing the city, were interacting. And this is before practical augmented reality. But now that we have practical augmented reality, you could do so much with that. So it was almost like people just going through their lives could, if they chose to, start playing the game and be playing the game with potentially thousands of additional people. I don't know how that works with the memory mechanic, though.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
well, it's everything. All that you said, like, well, it's a short time, like to extend.
Sorry.
But we were discovering about the relationship that we have as individuals with our city. And it was funny, like, oh yeah, that's right. I always cross in front of that building, but actually I don't know how it's named or what happened inside. And that's I guess that perception is not only in my city. It's in a daily, because you are in your daily, you are come back and pass and cross. And well, it's like to discover once again what is the relationship about you, like a user in the city, or like a citizens, and the space. So yes, we are thinking about to incorporate our other formats, not only the playing the table, this game, this board. So thinking about like huge panels, like where several participants will be moving or having a mechanical interaction, like to move, to lift, like, and that create another perception of the game that actually is the same game, like not using the fingers, like the digitized digital game. So I don't know if it was something.
Yeah, no, just a thought.
Oh, okay, well, it wasn't.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
I really appreciate your question.